What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for August 2nd, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. It's going to be a steamy one with some showers out there today. I'm hoping to get to the pool later, but if not, I'm going to settle in, watch some Oylmpics, and probably fall asleep before the Phillies game. But more on that in a minute. Let's start off with some quick housekeeping notes. First, I'm an idiot. Yesterday's Philly Olympics spotlight was Kalia Copper, not Kalia Cooper. Can't read my own writing. That is a problem. Everybody always says I should type my notes, but I'm more of an old school guy with paper, pencil. Could not read my notes. It is Kalia Copper, and they won yesterday, but I don't believe she played in the game. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont, at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Even if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, subscribe there, but then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every little bit helps the algorithm. And you could always call or text the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. That will get you in, get whatever the question of the day is or anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. But we are still gaining traction every single day. So for that, I thank you. All right, let's start with some sad news. Johan Sr., who is a legend in the Philly boxing community, passed away yesterday. Complications due to COVID. But he's best known for helping to kick off Joe Frazier's professional career, helped sponsor him financially. It was a pretty cool story. He was a Philly cop, had a heart attack where he was forced to, he was forced to retire. Saw this group that was gathering money to help kickstart Joe's career. Took out a loan for $500 and parlayed that into what he was before he passed away. Obviously, just a legend in helping to kick off Smoking Joe's career. But then from there, he was a big pioneer with closed circuit and pay-per-view events. Was very much responsible for helping get, back in the day, I remember my dad talking about it for Ali fights when he would watch, but closed circuit TV, which was the early, I guess, forefather to pay-per-view. His company, Johan Productions, I think it was. It was very much responsible for spreading that and getting that into bars. So if you ever watched a fight, wrestling, anything like that in a large group setting like that, chances are it was due to Johan. And he's also in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. But boxing legend, Philadelphia legend, Johan Sr. passed away yesterday. Excuse me. Best known for the pay-per-view and closed-circuit TV work he's done, but was partly responsible for kicking off Joe Frazier's professional career after the '64 Olympics. So condolences to the Hand family, and we really lost a legend in Philly sports yesterday. All right, so let's talk about these Phils. They're in Seattle tonight. Tyler Phillips on the mound. I think it's time to turn this thing around, though. I hate West Coast trips. You guys know how I feel about it. Chances are I'm not going to catch any of the next 10 games or very little of that. But hopefully a day away from Philadelphia, and now they got an extended West Coast stay. That will help to alleviate whatever slumps. And like I said the other day, I do feel that they're close. They're just having some bad luck, and certain things just aren't, the ball's not bouncing their right way. However, I will say, slumps like the Phillies just did are not unprecedented. Thanks to John Foley, a good friend of mine. You might remember him. He did the 2008 Phils. Now he works for PHLY Sports. But he posted something on his Twitter yesterday, and there were similar stretches for the Phillies in June of 2008 and 2009. Both years they went to the World Series. So again, this is not an unheard of slump for a team with high expectations like the Phillies, and kind of lends a little bit of statistical backing to the whole, it's baseball, bro. That's just the way the season is. So maybe a West Coast swing, things like this are those things that turn it around. And because they're so close, I'm hoping that it comes. And I think it starts with Bryce. I think as Bryce goes, the rest of the lineup goes. And there was a lot of talk about Bryce getting a pass and this and that and the other. So much so that if you were listening to 94 WIP yesterday, the argument between Spike and Howard or Spike and Ike really started to escalate. But there was a lot of good points brought up, and I do think Bryce needs to play better. I think Bryce knows he needs to play better. But does Bryce get a pass in this city, and does he deserve it? And I would argue that because of his clutch performance, I heard somebody say, I forget whether I read it on Twitter or heard it somewhere, but that Bryce is not clutch. And that, I mean, come on. To me, he's one of the most clutch athletes that this city has ever seen, if not the clutchest, or most clutch, however you want to say that. But I do think he kind of gets a pass and sort of is sometimes immune from criticism, and he gives me some Chase Utley vibes, where nobody ever said anything really bad about Chase Utley until later in his career. I don't know. And you can let me know what you think about that. It's not the question of the day, but is Bryce Harper, and justifiably, I still say that Chase didn't necessarily deserve to go unscathed throughout his career, especially when we were tough on Ryan Howard. We were tough on Jimmy Rollins. Hell, the fans hated Mike Schmidt until after he retired for the most part. I still remember growing up, he's not a clutch player. He's not this. And, I mean, they won the World Series in part because of his clutchness. So that's just a little bit of a rant, but I do think that Bryce does not sometimes get the criticism he should sometimes. But, I mean, it is what it is. He's aware of it. You can see in his interviews he's frustrated. He's seen a lot of pitches, and I think when you're in a slump, that's what you need to do to work out of it. So here's hoping that a day off and a West Coast swing will help get them out of it, because the Braves are right there. They won last night. They're third in a row. The Phillies are only up 6 games. But again, thanks to our friend John Foley, this is not unprecedented. The Phillies won the World Series in 2008, going through a very similar 15-game stretch. They went to the World Series with probably a better team in 2009. So I'd rather them have this slump in July and get it worked out through August. So come September, October, they're good to go. But I do need to see how this West Coast trip goes, and that does lead to today's question of the day. It's a 10-game West Coast swing. How many games do the Phillies need to win? Not how many do you think or how many do you want. How many realistically do they need to win? For me, I think they got to go 5-5 minimum. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531 get you in. Out of the 10, how many wins on this West Coast trip do the Phillies need to win? 267-495-8531 get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Answer the question, and then let me know about Bryce. Is he unfairly or maybe fairly not criticized as much as he should be? I don't know. I can certainly see it. And again, he gives off to me, and it's not something he's doing. It's from the fan base. He gives off those Chase Utley vibes. And, I mean, Utley at least won the World Series. So let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. But how many wins on this West Coast trip do the Phils need to win? And let's go, Tyler Phillips. All right, go to Philly Goat. It is back to school time. They have a ton of stuff for your kids, whether it's shoes, hoodies, hats, stickers for water bottles, whatever you need, Philly Goat's got. And I mean, I can talk to them blue in the face, but just go to the site, check it out, and then at checkout, use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. It's your place to go for back to school. Be sure also to check out my boys over at the Clash and Conferences podcast. Doing great things over there. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. It's baseball season now, but they're gearing up for football. And if you're not, follow them on Instagram, they post some behind the scenes and some fun things that they're doing, and they're doing a great job over there. So go support them. And that's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. All right, to the Eagles. And a couple things. First of all, Eagles fans are the best. 50,000 people in basically 100-degree heat packed the Linc for practice yesterday. So that was amazing. And then shout out to Eagles Twitter. Like, Eagles Twitter is the best. Like, I was able to basically go through a couple different sites or followers, or people I follow, I should say, and see real-time live clips and replays and things like that. It was awesome. I usually don't do something like this, but shout out to E-Rock. Many of you probably know who that is. He was posting the 11-on-11 drills. And then shout out to Let's Go Birds _ was posting some other clips that E-Rock did not have in the 3-on-3. So overall, it looked like the first team offense was clicking on all cylinders. Jalen looked great. Saquon looked like he was finding some holes, which is good with the offensive line. And then AJ and Devontae were just outstanding. Dallas Goedert looked good. And some Kenny Gainwell action, too, from what I saw. So, overall, I think the offense was where it needed to be. The defense did do its thing. And I don't know, again, it's hard to tell this early when you're playing your same team whether it was a situation where the offense is good and the defense is bad. And that's why the offense was good, or the defense is good and the offense is just that good. But that still remains to be seen. But shout out to those guys for posting things on Twitter. I had it up on my second monitor. I was taking notes, all kinds of stuff. But I'm feeling a little bit better about the Eagles. Looking forward to the first preseason game coming up, I believe, next week. And that does lead us into the recap of yesterday's question of the day. 71% of you watched that game between the Texans and the Bears, which did get basically suspended due to weather. My bet got canceled, which I had the Texans -1.5. The Bears were leading by 4, so maybe that's a blessing in disguise. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We already went through the one for today. How many wins do the Phillies need to have on this West Coast swing? I'm going with 5, but let me know what you think. All right, today, it's an interesting one. We're going back to 2016, and on August 2nd, 2016, the Phillies rallied with 5 runs in the bottom of the eighth to beat the Giants 13-8 at Citizens Bank Park. They hit up Madison Bumgarner for 8 runs through 5 innings. Aaron Altair, Maikel Franco, and Cameron Rupp all homered. Franco, with his homer, joined Scott Rowland and Dick Allen as the only Phillies third baseman to hit 20 home runs at age 23 or younger. Zach Eflin was on the mound that day and allowed 5 runs in the 5th inning. But there is a catch to that. All 5 runs, as usually is the case when bad innings like that happen, came after Bob Davidson missed a called third strike that would have ended the inning. Eflin was visibly rattled, and then you know how the Citizens Bank Park crowd reacted. They went nuts and let Bob Davidson hear it. Later on in the 6th inning, Bob Davidson called timeout, walked over toward the Giants dugout, and kicked a fan out of the stadium. Yes, the umpire threw a fan out of the stadium. After the game, when asked why he did it, Davidson said the fan was yelling sexual innuendos at him and kept telling the Giants and Davidson how much they suck. And he said, end quote, and the people cheered me, which is unusual in this town for me. So I kind of did some digging to find out what the fan was actually saying. I had some ideas. Obviously, he was probably talking a lot about sucking. We're going to try to keep this as rated R as possible. But I've been at games. There definitely was some chance that maybe I have or have not started or participated in where you talk about the ref getting off his knees, period, because he's blowing the game. And lo and behold, once I found out, The guy basically said, I own a property on 69th Street. Why don't you come over and period, blow, period, me, period. What the 69th Street had to do with it, I don't know. I don't know if that was a play on the sexual innuendos or what. I'm sure there was some other stuff said. But it was definitely a move you don't see every day, that the umpire threw out a fan for yelling sexual innuendos directly at him, which also got me thinking, geez, I wonder how many games I could have been thrown out of. But, again, we'll try to keep this as rated R as possible. You can put the pieces together, blow, suck, the game, you're not good, and we'll leave it at that, because I don't know what the guidelines are, and I don't want to cross the line and get canceled. But on this day in 2016, Bob Davidson threw out a Phillies fan for directing sexual innuendos at him. And I still, if anybody out there knows this guy or knows if he really does have a property on 69th Street, let me know. I've been dying to find this out, but I did some digging and I found out. Get off your knees, ump. And we'll leave it at that. All right, finally today, our Philly Olympic Spotlight. Before we get into today's, I did want to mention, we talked about Nick Mead from Stratford and Justin Best from Kennett Square. Yesterday, they won the gold medal in the men's fours. It was the first time in 64 years the United States won a medal. So kudos to the local guys for helping to win that gold medal in the men's fours. It was a very good race if you watched it. I think it was New Zealand came on strong at the end, and it was a very close finish. But the United States was able to hold on. So two local guys bring home two more gold medals to the area. Chester County's own Justin Best and Stratford's Nick Mead with the gold medal, who we talked about earlier in the week. Today, we're going to go to track and field, which kicks off today. We were already watching, the kids were watching some of the women's 100-meter heats this morning, and we are going to spotlight Joe Kovacs, a shot putter from Nazareth, PA. Yes, I know there's some listeners out there from Nazareth. The LV is in the house today. Kovacs went to Bethlehem Catholic and then to Penn State. This is his third Olympics. He won the silver in the shot put in 2016 and 2020. He's a two-time gold medalist, two-time silver medalist, and a one-time bronze medalist in world championship competition. His qualifier is today at 210, and then the final is at 135. He is one of the favorites to medal again. I've actually seen some places picking him to win the gold. He is certainly in line for the silver. And as a former shot putter myself, I will be highly invested in this, as it's one of my favorite things. Give the big guys some love. But Joe Kovacs from the LV, Nazareth, PA, Bethlehem Catholic. Let's go, Joe. Do it for the LV today, and then bring home the gold medal tomorrow and have them partying up in the streets in Allentown and Nazareth and Bethlehem and all the LV towns, and let's just have an LV party this weekend. All right, but Joe Kovacs is today's Philly Olympic Spotlight. Good luck to Joe. Congratulations to Nick Mead and Justin Best as well on their gold medal. Maybe, just maybe, because they're Philly sports fans, they're out there listening. One could hope. On this day in 2016, Phillies beat the Giants 13-8 after they came back for 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th. But the big story was Bob Davidson throwing out a fan for yelling sexual innuendo and telling him he sucked and inviting him over to an after party on his property on 69th Street. I don't know. If you know this guy or you are this guy and you're listening, please, please, please reach out to me, because I want to know way more about this. This is an awesome story. And we've all been there, though. We've all been there, buddy. Usually it's up in the 700 level, though. Not close enough where the umpire can hear you. But shout out to you, my friend. I would love to talk to you. So if you are that guy that got thrown out, or you know the guy that got thrown out, put him in touch with me, please, please, please. All right. Well, I think this is a very pivotal series, or maybe not the series, but road trip for the Phils. How many wins on this West Coast trip do you think they need? I say 5, but let me know your answer. 267-495-8531. Get anything else Philly sports related off your chest. And again, if you are that guy that got thrown out by Bob Davidson, hit me up, please. I will have you on. We'll do a live stream, something. I need to talk to you. But again, we need to keep it as rated R as possible. But we all know what he said. All right, come on, Phils. Tyler Phillips, be the stopper that the other guys cannot be. Let's turn this thing around. The fresh air out in Seattle, whatever we need to do. It's going to be steamy and rainy. I'm hoping to get to the pool. So hopefully that works out. But be sure to hit me up on social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell your friends. Spread the word. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 2nd, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Friday, and don't get caught on 69th Street. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.